She Shoots podcast, Women Empowering Women in the Shooting Community, Season 5, Episode 50-ish. A special edition, Quebec Courts and Confiscation, Women Leading Canada's Firearms Fight. Today, as your hosts are Deneen Tomlin, Casey Avenchuk, Kelly Melanson, and myself, Regina Ordonez. And just some quick reminders before we get started. If you have any events coming up, let us know so we can advertise them through here and our social media pages. Other than that, I will move over to Deneen and Kelly to introduce our guests for today and celebrate our 50th episode.
Thank you very much, Regina, and welcome everybody to tonight's show. We are really excited for this special edition. We have a lot of things to update you on and a lot of things to share that are really relevant to what's going on with the gun confiscation. So as usual, I have the opportunity to introduce the guests. So our first guest, I'm going to roll with Tracey Wilson. We've all had a chance to listen to her on occasion from She Shoots, been our guest before. But as a reminder, Tracey Wilson is the Vice President of Public Relations and a significant part of the CCFR team, one of the original incorporating directors, and I believe the original Gunny Girl, making her a powerful public-facing advocate for the gun community. So Tracey's not only the Vice President, but Canada's only in-house registered gun lobbyist. And so her political influence and tenacious spirit make her an asset not only to the CCFR team and to gun owners across Canada, but to women in the gun community. So Tracey's a mom, a grandmother, a sports shooter, a seasoned hunter, and of course, Canada's one and only gun goddess. But on She Shoots, she's the godmother of guns. So welcome to the show, Tracey.
And thanks, guys. Wow. Like, I wish you would follow me around and give me that opening everywhere I go. That's incredible. Thank you.
With some theme music. Absolutely. We'll work on that. And now I have the pleasure of introducing somebody new to She Shoots, Sophie Béland. Originally from the north of Montreal, Sophie grew up with a family of lone hunters. As a result, she was introduced later in life to firearms and everything around them. Her interest in civil law and regulations closely connected her to her profession as an insurance broker and led her to understand the political situation before she got involved in the CCFR. Sophie felt the injustice suffered by legal gun owners deserved to be mobilized and wanted to contribute to that. Joining the CCFR in 2019 as a member and a field officer in 2020, you became that after taking part in the march in Ottawa. And so she was very involved as soon as she joined that field officer team and has continued to improve the CCFR's presence in Quebec and investing herself in this mission. I've got so many things I'd love to say that are written, but really I want to get to the content of tonight's interview. Welcome to the show, Sophie, and we are so excited to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you to accept me with you.
Thank you so much. So, Kelly, I know we've got a whole bunch of questions, so I'm going to turn it over to you to get us rolling tonight.
Perfect. So, again, welcome, Tracey. I think you are the guest that's been on our show the most. I just have to say that.
Oh, really? I appreciate that. Yeah.
And Sophie, so incredibly important for you to come on the show tonight because you have made a huge impact into Quebec. One of the things that we didn't mention about Sophie is she is one of the directors for the Quebec region.
Yeah.
Very important. Thank you for adding that, Kelly.
Oh, I think I lost Kelly's audio.
We lost Kelly's audio. We can see her lips moving, but not hear you talking. Oh, no. Now she's going to do an interpretive dance. Okay.
Okay, so it's not just
there we go.
that's having some challenges with her audio. Mine just keeps kicking me out. So if I do stop, I might have to reboot again. I think it's just the night of IT issues.
Okay.
Yeah, going back to it, as I was saying, Sophie has recently done some incredible things into Quebec. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have both Tracey and Sophie on tonight. We've been trying for a little bit, actually, since
the rally.
The rally in Quebec, yeah. Absolutely. It's hard. Sophie's so busy now. she's like a media queen now. She has so many interviews and so much going on and so many shows. So yeah.
I'm
That's
working with municipalities. I'm working with the Prime Minister here in Quebec and the Minister of Security Public in Quebec. I working with the Range Club Association, make some shows. So last weekend I was at the Quebec show. That's why I have this voice today.
Yeah, trade show voice. Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's really important as we've
think
been
we're all
tracking
there
it.
with
She
that.
shoots what's been going
That
on.
voice.
We've got some overlap here. As we've been tracking what's going on across Canada with the gun confiscation and the updates, there's certainly been different things we've been hearing from Quebec and the region there. So to get a firsthand update with you, Sophie and Tracey, super excited to have that tonight. Things are changing so quickly across Canada, and so we're looking forward to learning about you and learning about what's going on. So, Cal, how's your audio? Is it working now?
I don't know. How is that? Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now. Absolutely.
Okay. It means you can hear me if you're saying I can hear you now. Okay. So why don't we talk about a couple of things? And as I said, I know this, Tracey, you're an old hat of being a podcaster, and Sophie's been on several as well. So we'll let you take it away. But some of the questions that we do have for those of gun owners here in Canada who don't know what the CCFR is, do you want to talk a little bit about the organization, and then we'll get right in?
Yeah, well, we were founded in 2015, kind of with the incoming unfriendly Liberal government. We were all members of other groups and, taking part in advocacy in different ways, but we sort of saw a void there that needed to be filled, kind of a public relations arm, something a little more sophisticated, a little more media savvy, and knowing that we would be in trouble with the incoming Prime Minister at the time, Justin Trudeau. We kind of figured, well, it's now or never. Let's develop this group. And of course, it's been, I don't know if it's a long 10 years or short 10 years, but it's been 10 years, just over 10 years now. And we have since grown to dwarf both the other organizations combined. So, I think people kind of get behind the message. We're innovative. We're doing a lot of projects, posting on social media and stuff is very, very important. And it's one of our, one of our main things that we do, but you need to do a lot more than that. And the CCFR wants to do advocacy and projects and shows and reaching out and public relations and all the things. So yeah, that's sort of what we're about. We are primarily a volunteer run organization. We've got a very small staff. We found out, as we grow, eventually you do have to actually pay some people to work for you because there's the enormous amount of work. You can't actually, work a full-time job and then do this full-time as well. So we've got, I think, 8 people working for us now in various departments. And and then we boast almost 300 volunteers across the country from coast to coast. So huge volunteer team, very active. We've been, as of this weekend, we were at 35 shows already since January 1st. So just an enormous amount of shows. And these, keeping in mind that volunteers are people who are giving their own personal time on weekends, on evenings to go out there and do this, giving up their time away from their families. And that to me is more meaningful than anything. So I get a lot of thank yous from people for the work that the CCFR does, but I only accept them on behalf of the volunteers because without them, we wouldn't exist.
Thank you, Tracey. That's beautiful. So to finish that off, why don't you tell us what your role specifically is with the CCFR? And then maybe we can hear about Sophie's role with the CCFR as well.
Sure. So I do work here full time. And full time plus. I think it's probably amounts to 2 full-time jobs.
That's real. Yeah.
Just not 2 full-time incomes. But I am a registered lobbyist. So, that means something entirely different when you're under an unfriendly government that refuses to meet with you anyways. There's only so much lobbying you can do with friendly conservatives because they're already on your team, right? Their policies are already set. So a lot of the work we do is with elections. We are third-party political advertisers in the last 4 federal elections. We were the 7th largest in the country in the last election. We spent an enormous amount of money trying to get friendly candidates elected. And then we do a lot of public relations stuff as well, a lot of advertising on TV. Of course, I've been traveling all over the country doing these rallies, which we're going to talk about the Quebec one tonight. But for instance, next weekend after Easter, I'll be in Halifax. And then 2 weeks after that, we're doing one in Waterloo region. And it's just going to continue. We got to hit Winnipeg at some point as well. So a lot of that kind of work where it's political advocacy, but not necessarily lobbying. It's sort of public relations against bad policy. And then a lot of talking with law enforcement. As you know, law enforcement agencies across the country have come out in opposition to the gun grab. Most of them are not participating. And so I've been working quite closely with many of them on their messaging, working with them to get them to put out statements, and then just with some of the fallout, right? There's some criticism from the anti-gun lobby groups, and, they're never sure how to deal with that stuff. So we're just, I said this at Toronto Sportsman Show that we just had last weekend. People are asking, well, what do you guys do? And, what works and what doesn't work? And I'm like, we do everything all the way, all the time, without exception. And that's kind of our motto, right? So just do it all the way, all the time.
That's a hell of a motto, Tracey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't stop.
It's true too. Yeah.
Let's talk about what you do, Sophie. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing with CCFR, specifically in the Quebec region.
Everybody's gonna excuse my perfect English. So I meet Tracey in 2020 at the Integrity March, and I thought that there's a lack of communication, of fact, of truth in Quebec, and I saw this energy, and she looks like me, so I want to be the next Tracey Wilson, but for the Quebec.
Fantastic.
And for 6 years, we built the Quebec. Each show, each weekend, like Tracey says. So, and a lot of work with a great team, a wonderful family. And I'm now the co-director in Quebec. I have my colleague Jason Warren too, is working with me and make an awesome job too. And I love the law. Like Tracey, I'm not a lot of aware of the gun, but I like justice, laws, and battle. So, like Tracey says, in Quebec, with the lack of communication, the barrier, language barrier, Police se souvient have all the way for the media, for the newspaper, everything on the social media too, and nobody have the guts to fight in Quebec. Yeah. And for my part, I'm a woman, so it's really hard to call me misogynist. I don't know how to say, but it's hard to say that it's just for my ego or something like that. So, and we see the result now. For around approximately 6 months, I have the authorization from the CCFR, from Tracey and Rod and all the partner in CCFR to make some interview in French. So that's make a big difference. The Minister of Public Security of Quebec called me, some association, we make some partnership, and a lot of contact. I'm the ambassador of all the show in Quebec. So for Saint-Hyacinthe, and the biggest show, Saint-Hyacinthe in Quebec. So it's a lot of reach for the CCFR. Just to let you know that just for an advertising for the contest, it's raining on. It's like 24, 48 hours. I have like 35,000 view on it. So that's a big job, but I'm so motivated
Amazing.
to do it. And the rally in February was the point to say that, okay, you have to go through, and you're gonna make a rest when when it's gonna be finished.
My goodness. Well, merci, Sophie. We really very much appreciate what you're doing, and it was significant to add Quebec's voice to the gun community, and thank you so much for what you're doing to bring that voice forward and being that strong-willed, strong-minded woman that is taking it on for the whole province. That's super impressive. Thank you so much.
It started in Quebec and it stopped in Quebec.
Yeah, that was our motto during the Quebec rally.
Our
If
slogan.
they're going to start it here,
Yeah.
our slogan, yeah. If they're going to start it here, let it die here too.
Oh my
right?
goodness, I love it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I just want to add to what Sophie was saying, if you don't mind. What she was saying about it is very different for women in this role, because firearms and gun stuff has primarily always been male dominated. It still is. But women are the secret weapon to advocacy. And the CCFR understands this very well. You know, there's a lot of the leadership in other organizations has kind of been your typical angry white middle-aged, fat white guy. I mean, I love them. I love them all. But at the same time, Sophie's right. It's funny. Rod and I talk sometimes. We trade off interviews quite a bit. And live radio is my favorite to do. He likes a nice TV interview. I love live radio. It's very exciting. You don't know what the questions are going to be. Sometimes they'll let people call in and question you. It's very engaging. It's my favorite. And it's funny because we've noticed, like, Rod will get a lot more hostile interviews, like the person, the journalist or the radio guy on the other end is almost hostile with him because it's this, this dude thing, and they've got their egos. And I get a lot less of that, which is hilarious because Rod is by far the more reasonable, rational person. And I'll probably scratch your eyes out. But because I'm a woman, they treat me very differently, right? So Sophie is like our double agent secret weapon. Quebec is always very difficult because a lot of the advocates for firearms owners in Quebec are typical middle-aged, white, burly white dudes. And you've got the girls from Policymakers and the other anti-gun lobbies, which are all primarily made up of women. And if that advocate, that male advocate, would say something, they'd say, "Oh, he's a misogynist. He's targeting me because I'm a woman." You could never actually hold them accountable for the things they said that weren't true because they would hide behind their woman card. Well, Sophie is totally de-weaponized that situation because it's a woman. And it's treated totally different. Yeah. So girls are the secret weapon of the CCFR, and Sophie primarily is a double agent, 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Getting interesting.
And that's why we love you and have you on.
Yes.
So the CCFR is the only organization where we have women in these roles. So as directors, as well as the female lobbyist, because we do know that, Tracey, you can go and knock or ring doorbells and people will actually open them to you. Whereas other organizations, it hasn't been the case and people actually haven't been listening. So we're starting to hear people listen, and in particular in Quebec as well. We have not had a presence, and with with the good work that Sophie's been doing and Jason as well, we're starting to have that presence and people starting to listen. And this is truly apparent in the gun rally that was, the rally that was in Quebec City. Sophie, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Why Quebec City? Why did you choose Quebec City?
Because Quebec is the first and the only province they participate to the buyback of the Liberals. So it's significant for the gun owner in Quebec to talk at the Quebec province, Quebec government. So that's why we know that it's in Ottawa that the decision is taken, but at the time that the Quebec say in press conference with Nathalie Provost that you're going to participate and give the excuse that it's just because we don't want to see the RCMP in the province. We're going to do it by herself. So it's not an excuse. A lot of work to do, less of money. So, and yes, for Police se souvient, just to let her know that we're there and we're gonna, no way you're gonna take her gun away. So our gun is not for sale.
And where did we have the work? So just total disclosure to everybody, I was there with these lovely ladies in Quebec City. So let's talk about the location that we chose and how many people showed up, because there was one or two of our friends that did decide to come out, right?
Well, yes, the police officers say at the peak of the event, 4,200 approximately. No problem, no mess, everything, just a big party, just a lot of smile, kids, donuts.
Yeah.
Cry. But
Yeah, cried. I know that feeling though. Like I understand how you felt that day, because I remember feeling that way once too.
yeah,
And
so
yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
we did it, yes.
And
So
I wasn't
It was
there.
an incredible.
So, yeah, give us a little bit. I mean, I saw your posts, but give us a little bit of a rundown of what happened at the event, sort of lead up, what happened, and then of course now what.
go ahead, Tracy. I don't have any voice.
Okay. Okay. I'll save your voice. So we had it actually at the Quebec legislature. So the provincial government in Quebec has signed a deal with the Liberals, which is different than every other province. Every other province except BC hasn't really said one way or the other, but every other province has turned them down. And some provinces have actually put legislation in place to block them. Quebec, however, is like, yes, come on in and confiscate guns from our people. So the Quebec legislature is meaningful because that's like their parliament, their provincial parliament. And that's where these decisions are made. And that's where the public safety minister for Quebec works. So I thought, it's totally reasonable to have it there. That was the perfect spot. And of course, you're in beautiful, historic downtown Quebec City, absolutely stunning building, and just the whole view was gorgeous. And yeah, I mean, when you're doing these things, it's hard to know how many people show up. So a lot of work went into planning. She had clubs and ranges all across Quebec that were sending busloads of people. Like it was massive. And, it's one of those things, if you build it, they will come. But just that feeling of just seeing the sea of people in front of you and they're hanging on your every word, and you can throw your hands up in the air and they'll cheer and then you put them down and they'll stop. And it's just like incredibly powerful too. And just to know that you're able, as nothing can change the world better than a small group of really dedicated people, right? And a small group of people put this together and it just grew and grew and grew. And next thing you know, you've got 4,000 of your best friends kind of gathered together. And that day was really special. Like I'm an Anglophone. I'm trying, I'm learning. Je parle français un petit peu. I've been practicing very hard, but and so this was not my time to shine because I'm just there to support Sophie and the team. And of course, anytime I get to rail against the government, you can sign me up for it. But just seeing all the work she put into it, all the preparations, and she's right. There was clean washrooms there. They had people tidying up afterwards. There wasn't a scrap of garbage left on the ground. It was perfectly safe. They had security. Everything was amazing. They had a DJ there. He was awesome. He played Gun Grab Gary, our little theme song. He played that a few times. And just to see the people and the families and the kids. There was a little girl up on her I think it was her dad's shoulders.
It was her dad.
Yeah, she was with her
was her
dad
dad.
at the rally, but she had a little sign and it was a picture of her shooting a gun. And she said, I want to inherit my mom's gun, you know?
Aw,
She gives me this sign at the end of the rally. She came to me and say, "Could you save those moments with my dad, please?" And she gives me the
Oh,
sign. I bring it with me all the show I go to to show to the people. That's why I do it. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, that was
amazing.
it was meaningful because I always think that too, you know, we'll fight this fight now and hopefully save our children the trouble of doing it later. I mean, in all reality, it's probably going to be a never ending political football until we change enough hearts and minds the other way. But just seeing the families and the people and people from every walk of life, you know, hunters, sport shooters, tactical dudes, French people, English people. People are driving all the way from Toronto. Like that's like a 9-hour drive
In February.
in February in the snow and
Mhm.
the sleet and the rain. Like it was actually,
And it was the best time ever.
yeah, we had a wonderful time and it went flawless. So yeah, just couldn't have asked for anything better.
So the rally
absolutely-
itself, the rally itself was a couple hours long, but people arrived early and people didn't want to leave. They just wanted it to continue. The music was fantastic. It was needed because we couldn't speak that long, or Tracey and Sophie and a few other people were having speeches, but they just couldn't speak that long. One of the most poignant things that happened was the singing of "O Canada," and which is particularly important when we think about it because it's Quebec City and how important that was, because it was showing the rest of Canada that Quebec City is important. And I think my internet is dropping a little. How important was it to actually show the rest of Canada that Quebec City and Quebec was behind the rest of Canadian gun owners?
The Quebec bashing, the anti-gun lobby. Many people, the language barrier. Many people in the rest of Canada think that Quebec is okay with the gun buyback, but it's not true. It's disinformation, misinformation. So to show up in Quebec City in the front of the assembly and sing "O Canada," that's made a signification. And I think, because I see it on the social media, that it's not stopping the Quebec bashing, but I see less than before the rally. And many people say before the rally that it doesn't work, nobody's going to show up, there's going to have some mess with some other groups inside our rally. But no. And at the end of the rally, because the war of Iran, they have another rally on the street, and the police officer asked to us, "Could you just stay on the site, be sure that everything is secure?" So we want to stop the media to demonize the gun owner in Quebec, and not just in Quebec. Now, the rest of Canada talk about the Quebec and realize that we're partner in that. We're in the same boat.
Yeah.
And we're fishing in the same hole. So could we please just stand each other, stop this battle, province battle of why Alberta, Quebec, and Ontario, and some, it's the fight of the Canada, and there's no frontier.
That's a great way to put it. And do you think that the recent presser and the subsequent memes that have come out from the public safety minister and Natalie Provost, and her angry response is actually because you're doing a good job and you are rattling the cages of the people that are thought that it would be easier because they didn't have any pushback until you came along, Sophie. So, do you think it's a direct correlation to the rally and feeling things are slipping?
The rally, the support of the CCFR for me. I have the CCFR behind me, so that's. I think that Natalie and the Minister of Security Public is afraid of Quebec. Now we have a campaign for municipality. So in the last press conference that Natalie made, she said that I'm pretty sure that she doesn't like it, and she's really upset, and she's know my name.
Well,
I know who I am.
Congratulations, Sophie. I think it was really important to balance that out, and it sounds like you guys have really made a significant impact to balance the voice, which is all we want. We want the truth to actually be heard in all of the languages that it can be received in, and I'm so happy that you can do that for us as gun owners in an area that we can't if we don't speak Canada's other national language. So
we have to stop this disinformation, right. And for sure, Mrs. Provost gonna find me on the way if she continue like that, for sure.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it. And you said there are more rallies coming. Are we going to continue to do bilingual rallies, or are we going to do whatever it takes wherever we are? How important is this next run up to the rallies, Tracey?
Well, I mean, the idea here is we're doing a rally in every jurisdiction that makes a deal with the Liberals. So, my message to different municipal governments and their police forces is, if you want to take a deal with the Liberals, no problem. But we're going to load your front lawn with people every single time. And we started in Cape Breton with the pilot program for the gun grab. That was a miserable failure. Thank you to the wonderful people of Cape Breton. We had a couple hundred people at the rally. That was a total, that was positive. 25 firearms were turned in during the pilot project, which was absolutely hilarious. And of course, the day after our rally, the what do you call them? The
ATIP?
No, the group that represents the police officers, their union. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, my brain's
it's okay.
Yeah, the union, the police officer union, put out a statement kind of condemning the chief for making this deal. Of course, he's brother-in-laws with the Liberal MP in the area, so it's a big dirty deal. But they put out a statement condemning him, and then within, I think, a week or 2 weeks, he actually resigned. So that was a mess. And then, so we've done them in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. We went there, and we were actually able to do a rally on the day they were doing the vote on whether or not to take the deal with the Liberals for the gun grab. And we were going to lose that vote entirely. We landed there, we put hundreds of people at the City Hall meeting, and they ended up voting unanimously to reject the Liberals deal, which was awesome. We were able to stave it off. Then we were in New Brunswick as well. And we are headed to, we're in Quebec. We're headed, like I said, to Halifax, April 10th, and then April 24th, we're in Waterloo region. And then, yes, we still have to make our way out to Winnipeg. They were the first to sign a deal. I think they thought everybody was going to sign deals, and they kind of just, jumped for the money pot. But rumor has it there's a little bit of buyer's remorse over there, and they were waiting out of that deal. So So anyways, we're going to meet with them. But my goal as well is to meet with the chiefs in these areas, if at all possible. And of course, for most of these rallies, we've had Conservative MPs join in. It's good for them to show their support. They were always against this policy, And, you know, if they can weaponize it a little bit for their purposes, that's okay too. But yeah, basically that's the message. If you're considering voting to take a deal with the Liberals in your jurisdiction and reroute those very scarce police resources away from combating crime, I'm going to fill your front lawn with people every single time.
So
No
you just answered my question about how important it is to attend those rallies, and then how to attend those rallies. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, everyone's welcome. Like, even if, you know, maybe I'm kind of putting out the information, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what organization you're from, who you're with, who you support. Everybody's welcome. It's really important to get there because, you know, if we host a rally or, you know, it's a rally against a gun grab and we show up and 20 people show up, then the media is going to love that, right? They're going to say, well, I guess most people support it. But when we can fill the front lawns of these places with people, it sends a very strong message. We have yet to have a single person counter protesting us in support of the gun grab. So I don't know. I guess that speaks volumes. But yeah, it's incredibly important to show up. It doesn't cost anything. Just show up. Stand with your fellow gun owners. I would anticipate the one in Waterloo region will be fairly substantial in size as well. You know, and yeah, wherever we go, it doesn't really matter. The way I'm going to put it is this: for all the people out there who always bash Quebec and Quebec gun owners, they put 4,200 people on the front lawn. So these rallies with 200 or 300 people, you know, who's really showing opposition to the gun grab? I'm telling you, it's Quebec. So yeah, so it's a challenge to the other jurisdictions. Come on out. We provide some signage and stuff like that. People are welcome to bring their own. Just be mindful of your messaging. And yeah, just get out there and do something. At the end of the day, at least if you've done everything you could, you know that you've done that, right? So yeah, very important.
Thank you, Tracey.
With that, so we are seeing some one province in particular, not just Quebec, but BC as well. BC gun owners are asking, will there be a plan for a rally in BC? Because BC is not getting off the fence, essentially. They haven't really said whether they're supporting it or not. Yeah,
I'd really like to push David Eby to make a decision one way or the other. But I think they have an election soon, don't they? A provincial election.
They do.
So that's exactly why he's sitting on the fence, because that way, you know, if you don't want to piss off either side, right? So I think he's being tactical in that. When the writ drops for their provincial election, this should be a top of mind issue for candidates. So this is a perfect opportunity for the BC Conservatives and any other party that wants to make an impact, as, you know, put it out there as a priority issue and force them to take a stance one way or the other. But yeah, if EB or any other jurisdiction within BC decides to sign a deal, they will be meeting with us.
Yeah. So how important is it for people to communicate with their MPs, MPPs,
MLAs,
specifically MLAs, right? Out in BC, it's MLAs.
Important.
Out in the East Coast, MLAs. Here in Ontario, it's MPP.
Yeah. So,
but
this
specifically the provincial representatives.
Yeah, this is one time when a federal policy, it's actually more important right now to put pressure on your provincial counterpart, not so much your federal counterpart. The policy is done federally. It's, you know, you can be upset with your Liberal MP all you want. They're completely powerless to do anything about it. And we've tried that route. I lobbied a few of them. And they didn't agree with the gun grab, but they're too afraid to say anything. So, you know, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
But these the municipalities are a creature of the province. So if your municipality is looking at this saying, oh, we're a little shy on our police budget, maybe we could take a deal and get a little bit of money, that usually needs to go through the province. So it's incredibly important to speak out with your local MPPs or MLAs. Let them know where you stand, even if you just send an email. Hey, just a reminder, this is where I stand on this. You work for me, and I want you to think about this when you're making these decisions. And then if your city council is looking at it, you know,
Yeah.
It's time to get on the phone and call their offices, their municipal offices, and just hound them relentlessly to not do it. Because, if they don't hear from you, they don't know what the people want, right? And that's what they're
No.
guided by.
Well, they're not going to call us and ask, Tracey. So
No,
Yeah.
they are not. They're perfectly happy
Right.
to make those decisions for you.
Right.
So, yeah, and we are always
Right.
much louder than the other side because we care, right? So,
absolutely. So you've talked about engaging with police forces. We have municipal, we have provincial. Let's talk about what you're saying to them, what they're saying back, and what does this mean? Where are we at right now with law enforcement agencies?
yeah, so I've been sending like a huge amount of emails to municipalities, municipal police chiefs, like all across the country. I think I've sent 184 emails to chiefs all over. And basically, I'm just, saying, introducing who I am, what the CCFR is about. And as they know, as they have seen, I'm sure, there are police agencies across the country coming out with a statement saying that they will not take part in the Liberals' gun grab. They won't be doing confiscations. And I am looking to them to ask if they can put out a similar statement. And most of them have. So, that's been going well. And that's pretty much it. A lot of them don't answer at all. Some of them don't answer, but they put out a statement, which is great. I don't care if you get back to me or not. I just care if we get it. Right. So,
Right.
and that's about it. And then, a few of them that haven't answered, it's because they're making deals. Right. But very few. There are very few jurisdictions that are going to be
willing to
participating
support.
in the gun grab.
Yeah.
So
One of the biggest.
Oh, go ahead, Cal.
So one of the biggest municipalities is Ottawa Police, had recently come out to say that they're not going to be supporting it. How important is that symbolically for?
Ottawa tells Ottawa to get lost on the gun grab, right? But well, it was really important to me because I live here. I live in Ottawa, and as a resident of this city,
Yeah.
I know a lot of cops. My neighbors are cops, my friends are cops. This is a very weird situation to be in because what's it going to come to? Are they going to come to my door? And no, they're not. So I think this was super meaningful for Ottawa Police to put out that statement because I was a little worried about it. It's difficult. This is the city where Mark Carney's riding is in here, and very liberal city. All 9 ridings went liberal last election. As you know, Pierre Poilievre lost his.
Yep.
So I was a little worried on how that would go. But the largest police force in the entire country, Toronto Police Service, was one of the first ones to come out. And their federation, their lobby group,
Police Chiefs of Ontario.
I don't know why I'm having a mental block on the word.
It's okay. We'll help you out.
I'm going to write it on the chalkboard so I never forget it. Their union leader, Clayton Campbell, he's been doing an awesome job. I think he does more media against the gun grab than I do. So, it's good.
Well, I mean, look at what it means to them, right? It's money's not going where it needs to go. The focus is not going where it needs to go. And meanwhile, all the other policies are stacking it up against law enforcement and making every day a really bad day for them to go to work. So,
and they want to do the work, and they're doing great work. I mean, there's, they're catching bad guys, putting them in prison. They're getting rolled right back out with the soft on crime policies, and they're having to deal with it over and over again. And then to hear, well, you might have to go talk to these law-abiding gun owners who've done nothing wrong and go confiscate their stuff. It's like, what? Like, it's ridiculous to even say it. It sounds crazy when I say it. And the fact that any jurisdictions at all are even considering it is mind-blowing. But here we are.
Yeah. And most of the police officers or those that are members of police services, most of them are also legal gun owners too that are affected by this. Yeah, they're trying to take a stance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a couple of things. Today is March 31st, so those we're going to be sending this out very near future, like today or tomorrow. That means tomorrow is the deadline for registration. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. So the registration, we've all gotten the emails. What do you think of the stance gun owners are taking? Because the uptake has been, it's been pretty minimal.
Yeah, that's right. So there's about 2 million firearms affected by these bans. And there was a declaration period. I think it was 70 days long. That's the press conference that Sophie mentioned, where the Quebec Public Safety Minister, Natalie Provost, and the Federal Public Safety Minister launched this buyback program, the gun grab. And so the idea here was they had a registration portal on a website. You could go in, put in your information, your personal information, your firearms license number, and register your guns. And if you had any that were previously registered, they would auto-populate. Like if you had AR-15s, like I do, they would auto-populate. I've never clicked on the website, so I can't really tell you what it looks like. I do have some screenshots other people sent me, but I refuse to participate. So anyways, all the other firearms that they banned, most of them were previously non-restricted and therefore not registered. They have no idea who's got what. So the entire premise of this thing is based on you self-reporting yourself to the government, which sets it up for failure. Now, they had that portal open for a very short window of time, I think 70 days, which some people think that's a long time. Not if you're, let's say, deployed, like this program opened, carried out, and closed before people are back from deployments, right? Like, I don't know, it puts our soldiers and our troops in a weird position.
Yep.
But the idea was you would register your firearms in this portal. They would give you a quote. And then down the road, after they've already confiscated the guns that you reported, then they would decide whether or not you're getting any of that money. And most people would get ripped off. They had funding. The numbers changed a little bit, but anywhere between 132,000 guns and 155,000 guns, somewhere in there is what they were willing to compensate for out of those 2 million. So far, at last count a week ago, they were at 51,000 firearms had been declared.
Right.
Now, that's compared to 2 million affected. That's a very, very small number. We're talking under 2% compliance and participation. However, I almost think when that program closes tomorrow at time of recording, that number might have shrunk because across the country, there's an overwhelming movement that is happening. And it's happening a lot in Quebec because I think some of Quebec gun owners, because they have a provincial long gun registry, were worried and they declared. So people are withdrawing that declaration, and you can do that. It's actually a very simple process. You can call the assault style firearm compensation program.
That's literally what it's called.
Yeah, the AS stuff. Yeah, it's really long. Anyways, you can call them and tell them, I want to withdraw. And it's voluntary. You can. There's no penalty. Nothing happens to you. You're perfectly fine. Or the other option is you can leave it alone. And when they call you to say, okay, we're scheduling an appointment, whether it's to come to your home and get your guns or for you to bring them down to a local police station or a mobile collection unit, you can say, you know what? I've changed my mind. And that's my prerogative as in this volunteer program, as I've changed my mind and I'm no longer going to participate. I withdraw. And that's it. Hang up the phone, keep your guns. We're headed to the Supreme Court.
Yep. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we will talk about that. That is a total game changer. And that changes the landscape for a lot of people. I've been hearing that from a lot of Quebec gunnies where they felt pressured because of their registry and they don't want to be in trouble. The government is kind of threatening you with all kinds of things, from jail time to canceling your firearms license, which is not under their purview at all. They have no control over that.
It's the province. Yeah,
exactly. So anyways, a big mess. But I think that's in reaction. That last press conference came out after the Supreme Court gave us the news that they're going to hear our case.
So the presser that you're talking about was the one that just took place on I think it was the Friday, where Natalie, so the public safety minister was there, as well as the Liberal minister from Quebec, Natalie Provost. And it did become a little unhinged when there was some finger wagging and some, telling us to do our civic duty. I think it backfired a little bit from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it totally did. that was, I mean, I get it. She's overly emotional about this, and
Yeah, I did too.
they see it slipping away before their very eyes. I get it. But when you're in politics and you're in the public eye, like, to me, you have to be a little more disciplined than that. And the way she behaved in that press conference, finger wagging wasn't the word. She was yelling into the microphone, shaking her finger, saying some crazy stuff. She shoved the public safety minister out of the way so she could get to the mic, begging and pleading. I think she said please 8 times to the media. Like, it was just this weird, unhinged, like, meltdown, just a total spiraling. And I watched it, like, in disbelief. Normally I kind of live tweet stuff. I couldn't even, because my eyes were bulged out. My mouth was hanging open. I could not believe what I was watching. And I think that is probably a direct result of some nervous Nellies on Parliament Hill, knowing that the Supreme Court has taken our case. The law enforcement opposition, the rallies, like, it's just one thing after another. This has been an absolute boondoggle for them, and it's about to get a lot worse. Because we are taking this case all the way. Did you want me just to give a quick rundown of what's going on there?
Yes.
Yeah,
please.
let's talk about so it's the Supreme Court of Canada, the appeals. So this is full stop. This is it. Now, so one of the things that we have to talk about, and you can give a little background into it, and I think my internet's finally catching up to me, is the fact that not everybody is heard when people submit for to the Supreme Court, specifically the appeals court, not everybody is heard. So how important and monumentous is this for the CCFR and for gun owners here in Canada? And then let's talk a little bit about what it means.
Okay, so we had already been through the federal court, and we went through the appeals court after that. So then we applied to the Supreme Court. And in the lower courts, you submit your case and your file, and that's it. You're going to court. At the Supreme Court, you have to apply. And that's a panel of judges, of Supreme Court justices, that decide what cases they hear. And they hear somewhere between 6 and 10% of cases. I think at the time they were looking at ours, there was 26 cases on their docket to decide, right? So they have to judge them on different criteria. Number one, does it look like there could have been an error in the interpretation of the law? Number two, is it in the public interest? Is this a case that the public is even interested in? And I think that's this it's national news like every week for a year and a half. So I would say yes. So they had the case. They had 26 cases they were looking at. They rejected every single one of them but ours. And people had asked me, do you think they're going to hear a case? I'd be like, yeah, we really got a chance. And I'll be honest with you guys right now, right here, I didn't actually believe that for a minute. So I was already trying to game out, and we were strategizing on, what other tricks are up our sleeve? What other rabbits can we pull out of the hat? And then we get the news from the Supreme Court that they're going to hear our case. And there's 3 other cases coming with us. And I don't want to take away from the important work they do too, because it's been a huge team effort. But this is what it means when you go all the way. And when I say the CCFR does it all the way, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So a whole bunch of stuff is going to happen now. There's you have to file your application. And then now that we've been accepted, all the other cases were rejected. Now that we've been accepted, there's a time period. It's like 30 days to file the actual case itself, right? Our arguments. Then the government's going to have time to respond, and it'll go back and forth. And, the wheels of justice move about the same speed as the wheels of politics, right? So nothing's going to happen really quick. But the very first intervention that we're going to do, of course, is to apply for an injunction to hold on to that amnesty, because the clock is ticking on that as well. And that's going to run out at the end of October. Right. It's really important that amnesty is extended out past the final decision of the Superior Court, right? The Supreme Court is the top court in the land. So whatever decision that is, I mean, number one, if we win at the Supreme Court and everything goes back to normal and we can all go to the range, that's a really important reason to hang on to your firearms, right?
Yeah.
100,000%, Tracy. 100,000%.
Yeah. Number two, you cannot criminalize Canadians who bought these things in good faith, have done nothing to warrant this kind of behavior or treatment, and we deserve to be here to have our day in court, to be heard by the highest court in the land and let them decide. And the ultimate question is, well, there's a couple of questions. Number one, can the government step into your life, although you've done nothing to deserve it, and confiscate your legally acquired property? And that doesn't apply to just guns. Like, this is going to set precedent for all kinds of other things that you own, right? Your property, your home, your boat, your lawnmower, your car, your truck. Anything the government says, you know what, you don't really need that, and it's just a privilege, and we're going to take it from you. This will set precedent. Number two, can they rule by OIC?
Right.
And OIC, in order in council, is a regulatory tool that is usually
Administrative.
used, to implement smaller measures within a piece of legislation. Like, for instance, the red flag laws. That passed within C-21, which is a piece of legislation. It went through the whole democratic parliamentary process, debate in the House of Commons, sent to committee for study. They heard from expert witnesses, and most importantly, they voted on it. This is democracy. It's dangerous, but it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And OIC, they did it as a minority government. There's no vote. Nobody gets to argue it. Your only avenue is court, and that's what we had to do. And then number three, there's a rule within the law that says a law cannot be meaningless. It cannot mean nothing. And written right in, sorry, I talk so much I run out of air. Written right in I think it's the criminal code.
Yep.
It states that the governor and council cannot ban firearms that are deemed appropriate for sporting or hunting use, which we've used these guns safely and without issue for decades, if not generations, for exactly those reasons.
Yeah.
Now, the government's argument is, well, we are the governor and council, and we've changed our mind. Those guns are no good anymore. Well, the purpose of that original piece of legislation was to be a restraint, to restrain the government from banning guns that are appropriate for sporting or hunting use. So a law cannot be there and mean absolutely nothing. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of arguments that'll be made, but that's kind of the Coles note, too long didn't read version. But yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. This opens the doors to everything now, right?
Yeah,
so
it does.
Very important.
Incredibly important for the other, so CCFR, plus there are other organizations as well. Sorry.
No other organizations.
I aired.
Yeah,
no other organization.
3 other cases, like Christine Genero.
Yep.
You guys should totally have on the show. She's amazing. She's a self-rep. This girl is just such a little savage. She has taken this all the way right beside the big guys, right?
Yep.
I mean, we're a big organization. We're well supported. We hired the best constitutional lawyers in the country. Like, we were able to do this great big thing on this huge scale. And here's little Christine running behind us, beside us, doing exactly the same thing. Like, it's just amazing. She's an awesome, total champion. And then there's two other cases as well. But yeah, we're the only organization in the fight.
Yeah. Sorry, I messed up when I was saying that. I meant to say there's other people that were attached
they're all,
to it too, right?
They're all working together. Like, the 4 cases are working together. The other ones that dropped off earlier, they're gone. But yeah, it's really important to give them kudos. I know we hear a lot about the CCFR case because it's out front, but yeah, they do a ton of good work.
Yeah, they do. Okay. So you talked a little bit about what may happen. The next thing is to apply for the injunction. Do you have any indication? So it's 30 days that you have to submit, and then the government of Canada comes back and they have 30 days to submit as well. There's some other things. It's time wise, right? Do you have any indication on the hearing?
No, like, we don't have a hearing date yet. Of course, that's going to be all mapped out. But like anything, like I said, it's going to work at the speed of
Snail's
bureaucracy here.
pace. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at anywhere from a year to out to 2 years probably to have this thing done and complete. So, I mean, whatever, time is on our side at that point, as long as that amnesty matches up with the final decision. And even then, even if we lose at the Supreme Court, that amnesty has to be extended out to that decision. And if we lose, they're going to have to spark this whole gun grab back up again. So it'll have to be, more time added to that. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, hey, we're still playing cards, and our hand looks very, very good.
And we're all in.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people have concerns about, saying, oh, well, the judges are all liberal and they're all this and they're all that, which is not true. But here's the thing. If the Supreme Court, wanted to just leave things as they are, which was, we're stuck in this gun grab. The dates are looming over us. They're starting to grab people's guns. They could have just left the decision of the lower court in place.
Exactly.
The fact that they see something in there that they want to hear means that they want to hear it. So, otherwise it could have just said no, and that would have been it. We would have been out of cards. So
they saw merit. They saw merit in it. We saw recently that there's been some rulings from the Supreme Court about other things that took place here in Canada recently. And again, a lot of them were appointed by the Liberal cabinet, right? Liberal judges. However, they are holding the Liberal government to task right now on that too. So, really, really important. It's hopeful. I always say there is hope. We were recently at the Toronto Sportsman Show, and people were coming up and saying, literally after the announcement for the Supreme Court and the appeal and hearing it, and the mood was it was different. The mood was we actually have hope. And previous to this, it was a little
sketchy before this. Yeah. I mean, we're still fighting, but it's like trying to swim with someone's foot on your head. Well, we just pushed that foot right off. So yeah, we're doing the double backstroke. So,
Well, and I'd like to think now with that new sense of momentum that people decide to withdraw and continue to support. And it certainly stands for good reason. And I know we've talked about logic and common sense many times on this show and what that means, but that the amnesty period move alongside the court case, the appeal, so that because that would make perfect sense for obvious reasons. So I'm hopeful as well. And I know I'm gushing a little, but I just can't express the appreciation that I have for what you guys do and for what you're telling young people that are in the gun community, the ones that are wanting to go out and be competitive shooters, the ones that want to follow in their moms or dads or grandparents' footsteps. Those future hunters that really care about our environment. Like, you guys are just setting such an amazing message and tone. And it says that Canadians have a lot of fight. There's a lot of fight in this dog, and I love it. I love it. So good for you, and thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for all that. And we won't quit, right, Sophie? We're going to fight all the
Nope. It's the answer of the Supreme Court is a game changer.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. So, and we see it. And with what I see at the rally in Quebec, I cannot leave. I just want to go through with this battle.
Yeah. You want to see it to completion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that commitment as well, Sophie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. And we want to see it to completion because it started in Quebec and it's going to stop in Quebec, right?
That's right.
That's right. So
did you want, go ahead.
No, that's okay. There's a little bit of a lag, and so we keep ending up talking over each other. I was just going to recap showing up to the rallies, continuing to support CCFR, maybe recalling the decision that you made because you were making it in fear, and now you know it's it's worth fighting for. What are other things, MPs talking to your municipal or provincial members of parliament or equal? Have we really covered all the things people can continue to do, Tracey and Sophie?
Yeah, I think so. And just keep talking to each other, keep talking to other gun owners. And, if you're on, first of all, be good to each other. We're all in this together. But yeah, support the CCFR if you can, if you're not in a position to. The economy stinks with this government. So I get it. If you can, great. If you can't, that's okay too. Family first. But yeah, keep up to date. You can follow the CCFR podcast every 2 weeks. We give an update on what's going on. A lot of people have come to rely on that.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to keep up with everything changing and moving all the time. So every 2 weeks, we kind of give you the rundown and keeps people on track. And yeah, just have a little hope and talk to your friends. If you know anybody who did submit a declaration, talk to them about withdrawing. If you're not sure what to do, you can go to ccfr.ca. All the instructions are right there on the website on how to withdraw. So yeah, consider doing that. Hold the line. And I would love to see their final numbers be lower than the numbers were a week
Wouldn't
ago.
that be fabulous?
Yeah,
that
that'd
would
be great.
indicate some
They'd probably
serious.
lie anyways. They'd probably
I was
lie.
just going to say, do you think they'll tell us really
No.
truthfully if they're
No, they won't.
no.
Please talk about the rallies.
Yeah. April 10th in beautiful Halifax at the Grand Parade. I believe the kind of town square is called. So we'll be there from 4 till 7. Of course, we've got our good friends from SCI coming out to join us.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. Chris and Sally, all the girls at SCI, girls are ruling the world over there too. And then April 24th in Cambridge, which is in Waterloo region. So we'll be there at Cambridge City Hall. So same time, 4 to 7. We're kind of doing an evening thing so people see us after work on their way home, right? And just letting them know how we feel about it. So
and what other events have you got going on that people can get involved in outside of the rallies, Tracey?
Well, don't forget, National Range Day is the first Saturday in June. Very important. That's coming up again. We'll be doing our usual, sorry, my lights are flickering here. It's just ghosts. It's fine. We'll be doing our usual circus that I do here in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So that's really important. That is our best way for long-term positive change, changing hearts and minds, is to get all these normies out to the range and let them try it, right? So
get behind a gun and see how much fun you can have. Yeah.
It'll be fun.
ccfr.ca/events, and you can find everywhere we are, which is all over the place.
Yeah. There was a great map that displayed all the gun
shows last
activity
week.
shows. Yeah, thanks. My brain is also fried, and I was trying to come up with shows. All the gun shows that happened last week where the CCFR was involved. We have something else that's coming up as well. So we have a great contest. Let's talk about It's Raining Guns. How can people participate? Those that aren't directors, because Sophie and I and Tracey, we can't participate in this, but
tomorrow will be 1 month exactly left in the Raining Guns contest. This is hilarious. So Rod called me and he's like, "Hey, I got a great idea for a contest. Let's give away 100 guns." And I was like, "What? Are you nuts?" And so the more we talked about it, all these guns are donated by supporters and supporting business members of the CCFR. But I was like, 100 guns. And I just had this vision of like all these guns coming in, and then we're trying to, draw for them and give them out. And I'm like, it's raining guns. And that's what we called it, right? It's like after that song. Anyways, you can find that. Go to ccfr.ca. You have no choice but to learn about the contest because it pops right up. It's actually super annoying, but there's 1 month left. There's all those guns. They got to go somewhere, and they may as well go to you guys. Every $20 donation is another entry. So enter now, enter often. And we're going to do a really, really long video and give away 100 guns.
Yeah, it's a great fundraiser for us, being the CCFR. Guess what? Going to the Supreme Court of Canada is not cheap. So donate. Donate often, right?
Yeah.
So-
Well,
if you're going to
donate anyways, you may as well get an entry to win it.
exactly, I was
Right.
just going to say the same thing, Tracy.
If you're going to donate, let's get a chance to win guns.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about the AGM as well? That's going to be taking place very
right.
soon.
Yeah, May 23rd in beautiful Toronto, of all places. But we picked it because it's central in the country. We're having it right near the airport. It's at the Sandman Signature, Mississauga, I believe. All the details for that is at ccfragm.ca. Get your tickets for that. The tickets are rather affordable. We're gonna do the business meeting in the morning, the kind of boring stuff. Some people are interested in that stuff. But then throughout the afternoon, we're going to hear from my good friend Sheila Gunreid. Of course, you'll remember her from Rebel News. She's got the gun show, which is a lot of fun. Her and I talk guns all the time. Then we're also going to have a fireside chat with Randy Arsenault. And if you don't know who he is, I call him the TikTok cop.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we called him on the website. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? I found him during the pandemic, and he used to do these like just awesome videos from his patrol car. And he's a public speaker and a motivational speaker, and he's been through all kinds of stuff. And anyways, he's just absolutely great. So we're going to do a fireside chat with him. And then Rod and I, what's that?
I said, that's fantastic. He's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's super great. And just, he's a gun guy, and he's been talking about this stuff too. And then Rod and I are going to do an Ask Me Anything. And that's always a lot of fun. Sometimes people come out with these, they strategic idea questions for the CCFR. And then other stuff is like, gun dude stuff, right? Where they ask Rod what his favorite trigger assembly is, or I don't know, some stupid thing, right? And I can never answer any of that stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. We do that for an hour and a half. We answer questions kind of rapid fire. So yeah. CCFR agm.ca.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy.
So one of the last things that the CCFR will be involved in is TACOM. It's back. TACOM's back.
How exciting is that?
That is crazy. I really missed it last year, so this will be great. It's just this feeling of light over our community, right? It's been a pretty heavy few years.
10 years, let's be real.
10 years, yeah. And it's not over, but I just feel like things are moving in a positive direction. Yeah. So yeah, TACOM Canada is back in September. So fantastic. Happy birthday to me. I'll be at TACOM.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, you know what, ladies, we always wrap up with the same question. So Kelly, can we pivot over to that very important question about getting women involved in shooting sports and the CCFR. So I'll ask each of you, let's go with you first, Sophie. Why is it important for women to get involved in shooting sports and to get out and support the CCFR?
For the representation of the family. It's the combine of the family. If you have the man, you have the woman, for sure you're gonna have child. And why not? Now we're driving, we're working, and we're better than men. So
we're better shots, I would say.
We heard it from Sophie.
Yeah.
Right.
So no, I think it's important to change the face of the sport. Change the face of the situation, and stop to demonize the gun owner. So woman is gun owner, man is gun owner, a gun owner is a gun owner.
Yeah.
Well put. Thank you.
And Tracy, same question for you. This is particularly important because you said at the beginning of the podcast, it's incredibly important for women, and the CCFR is the only organization with women in leadership and women that are driving this. So how important is it for new gun owners who are female to get into the sport and support the CCFR?
Well, it's really important. Well, we are the secret weapon, but we're also decision makers within our family, right? We are the CEOs of our households. We decide what the kids are going to do. We decide what the family's going to do. And a lot of times it's usually women who are afraid of guns. They're afraid of what they don't know. Or maybe all they know about firearms is what they've heard from politicians or Hollywood or the media. And that's the entire purpose around Ladies Range Days and the women's program at the CCFR is when you change a woman's mind and influence her opinion about guns and gun ownership, that's how you open it up to the entire family. And that's how you achieve a longer lasting change. So yeah, we're secret weapons, we're CEOs, and yeah.
And that's the reason we have the Woman Range Day program too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's an important part of the CCFR.
Thank you for mentioning that, Sophie. It's near and dear to all of our hearts, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Including every single person that's been on the show. Maybe we should actually. Okay. We're going to be doing a call out soon for the CCFR Gunny Girl calendar. But I know that we have some range days that I think, Regina, that you may be talking about here as we close out the show as well, because there's a couple that have been posted and shared on social media, and I'm stealing Regina's thunder right now. Sorry. But before we get to that part of the show, Tracey and Sophie, incredibly thank you for all the hard work that you do and coming on and all the success that you've had recently, particularly in Quebec, Sophie. Amazing. Thank you. And your English is impeccable. And we saw Tracey, your French is so much better. And it's pretty awesome. Quebec's loving you, by the way. They truly are. Everybody was. But thanks for coming on to the show tonight, because I know that you are both incredibly busy. It's taken us over a month to try and get you on the show. So I really, truly appreciate it. And
thanks for having us.
It's cool to have a podcast with girls. So many times I made podcasts with men, and it's like, like Tracey said, beer and male, and with girls, it's really cool. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
De rien. So, and I'm looking forward to more of these special edition She Shoots podcasts where we can keep up with what you guys are doing and continue spreading that message to women that choose to have a voice across Canada and help us with this very important cause. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, so important. Women have voice. Oh my. Regina, you want to come back on and you want to talk about some of the things that we're going to be featuring? All the cool things that are coming up?
Yeah, so I just looked it up on my phone really quickly. So actually, there is a Ladies' Day coming up in the Niagara region from the CCFR and the CSSA. So this is on Saturday, May 30th. And it looks like all you need to do to register is if you have access to the image that I have here, which we shared that also on our She Shoots Facebook page. You can just scan the QR code, or you can RSVP at the Ladies' Day Niagara region at gmail.com to register. And then it looks like it's $75. So I don't know any more info. Ooh, we lost
Tracey.
Yes. Yep. But yeah, that's the only one that we've shared about so far. But yeah, if you have any other events, anybody else, any other organization coming up that you want us to share and talk about, we are absolutely more than happy to do so. And then afterwards, if you took some pictures and we'd like us to share, we would love to do that as well, to show the fun that you could have at the gun range.
Good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So other than that, just have a few reminders, and I'll give you back your evening, day, whenever you're listening to us or watching us. Okay, so just a reminder that you can find us at She Shoot Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you want to listen to our podcast, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, also under the She Shoots podcast banner. we've talked about events, and then I'll also mention if you have any special guests you want to see, or if there is any particular topics you want us to touch on. Make sure you comment all of that information in any of our comment sections. We'll see it all. We have eyes everywhere. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on those. Other than that, that is it for tonight's episode. We would have already announced by the time this episode comes out the winner of our giveaway that we did on our previous episode with Women Hunt and I'm blanking, Kathy's organization. I'm sorry, Kathy, I am blanking so hard. But Kathy's organization and Women Hunt, we have the podcast with them last time. So we would have already announced the winners of those giveaways. So if you don't know who those winners are and you want to know, just check out our social media pages. We would have announced them on there. Other than that, have a good night, everyone, or they, like I said. And we'll catch up with you on our next episode every second Tuesday of every month at 5 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. MST, 8 p.m. MST. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Good night.